Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the new Riff 8-year-old bourbon. 100 proof, Dustin. Spelled out.
And written out in numbers. They really want you to know this is 100 proof.
Yeah, there's no doubting. It's 100 proof.
Yeah. Not to be confused with any other proof version they have.
Not to be confused with 50% whiskey or 100 proof. This is 100 proof bourbon. All right, Dustin. We make a laugh, but at least, they give us good disclosure on this particular one. So this is one of the newer releases from New Riff, one of our favorite bourbon distilleries. What else can you tell us about, my friend?
Yeah, this is going to be a new national release. So I know occasionally bringing guys the limited edition stuff you can't get. This one will be nationwide. So if you got the that 7-year malt, you'll get this one almost guaranteed. So this isn't one you have to worry about. This is going to show up locally. The only question is, are you willing to spend about $67 for it? And I got to say, Mike, that is a very reasonable price today for a craft distillery to double their age statement and less than double their price. You don't see that often.
And Dustin, don't forget, it's 100 proof.
Yes.
All right, let's get to it. Natural color. Are these chill filtered?
They are not. That is another one they disclosed for us.
Yeah.
Without chill filtration.
Yeah, without chill filtration.
And they also go the extra mile, which I always enjoy, Mike, on the back. It's got the mash bill, so we can see it's 65 corn, 30 rye, 5% malted barley. Very close, but not the same as one of the preferred MGP mash bills. So
let's get to it, Dustin. I inside get sweet and chocolate.
Yeah. Get a little bit of leathered chair, a little bit of raisined fruits. And that's a term I've come to really to enjoy on this one. I've spent a little bit of time with it. Got it yesterday, so it was just last night.
Yeah.
And all I could
Good
really...
time.
Yeah. I picked it up yesterday. Could not wait to crack it as soon as work was over. And that's what I'm getting here is leather and that raisined fruit with a nice, almost dark chocolate, but still in the milk chocolate side.
Yeah, almost coming off sherry-esque, flavors as far as some of the darker fruits on it. But I mean, you're right. A raisin note is the right note for it.
Well, my thinking here is more it's raisined fruit, meaning, Mike, you take all the fruits you get on a normal new Riff, and imagine if you dried them out like through the pruning, raisining process. That's kind of what I think's gone on here. That 4 more years of age has dried things out beautifully.
It smells rich and deep.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell me this was cast strength of the nose, I believe you.
I was getting ready to say that. It definitely comes off, not more alcohol forward, but just dense, intense flavor.
I think, yeah, exactly. I agree with that statement exactly. It's not alcohol, it's just richness.
Yeah. It's just beautiful. It's there's nothing super complicated here.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's definitely decent age. I'd preferred it, when you start getting that 10, 12-year range. I think that's when bourbons really hit their stride. But 8 years is a good age statement today.
At least for nosing.
Well, and, for New Riff, I mean, let's be real. They've only been around about 8 years. Like, this is as soon as they could do it. Yeah, real nice just combination of sweet and a little bit of oak.
Yeah, I'll say a slight spice. I mean, maybe a light cinnamon kind of kicking in here sort of at the end. But you're right. The dominant flavors are that leathery, raisiny, nice rum, bourbonish type of note.
You could, convince me there's some kind of like a cracker, maybe not a graham cracker, but maybe is there a honey cracker that's not quite a graham cracker? Something like that.
Graham crackers are honey crackers, are they not?
Well, but the graham cracker's got a certain like spice there that I'm not quite picking up. It's like
twinge of ginger, maybe.
See, I'm thinking that it's missing the ginger, but it's everything else.
Oh,
see, that makes sense.
Well, I agree. There's no ginger in this, so
yeah. I'm like, it doesn't have that like spice, but it has the honey weeded cracker thing. Yeah, just really nice.
Yeah, nice, sweet. I mean, that's really the main thing about this. I don't know a lot of bourbons are sweet, but this is a really nice sweetness. Rich, deep. Twinge of spice. Keeping it lean, Dustin. Keeping it lean as far as the flavors.
Yeah. Definitely it is a sweet bourbon, but it's not an over-the-top one. That said, it is chocolate forward. It is very dessert, but it's got a nice drying, rich. The oak is starting to come in here. It's not heavily oaked, but there is a nice oak presence. The age is definitely coming through. This is, if you're a big bourbon fan and you're always kind of like, all right, I love Elijah Craig Barrel Proof at 12 years. I think Stag Junior's doing really well at that 9-10 year mark. This is what you expect. It's a little less oak, a little less density than those, but It's definitely got a richness, viscosity, leather note.
Yeah, nice, pretty silky smooth arrival. You get a lower ABV on the tongue, which is fine. It doesn't come off alcohol forward at all. As it kind of slides down the throat, really silky. That's when the chocolate notes come up for me as soon as you swallow. Big chocolate finish on this particular one. Again, pretty straightforward as far as the palate on this one, just like the nose, but all things that are nice. You know what I mean? I like the initial upfront sweetness, no alcohol burn whatsoever. You take a sip, you swallow, and just this beautiful, almost chalky protein shake after the nutrition gold standard way. I don't know if it's malted chocolate or chocolate malt or if it's extreme milk chocolate, but I'm going to go with chocolate malt.
It would definitely be more chocolate malt here.
Yes.
I don't think it's that sweet, though. But there's a little bit of a slightly smoked vanilla note coming through as well. Maybe a hint of a butterscotch. Definitely has some of that kind of honey cracker kind of thing going on here. Really nice. Just kind of hitting on all those things I like. They've definitely created a more sophisticated, more assertive version of New Riff, and I am all for it.
Yeah, the flavor profile in this one really is rich compared to what I assumed it would be. I mean, again, it's not a super old whiskey, and again, on the nose, it comes off so much deeper than it really does on the palate. I really enjoy the nose on this.
Oh, the water did bring out a little bit of a red fruit. I kind of mentioned raisin fruits, but this is a little more red berry that's come through now.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a little bit more. I don't want to go as far as a red wine note. That's too far. No. But there is some type of light, indistinctive red fruit on this. Not really an apple, but some type of berry, I would say. And you know what? The actual, you said honey note earlier. I didn't really get the honey note at first, but with water, I definitely get it.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue. I said raisins earlier. Maybe this is more prunes, where it's a little juicier, a little fruitier.
It almost reminds me of Raisin Bran with orange juice right next to it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not acidic, you know what I mean, but it's kind of that off, sort of slight orange note, sort of in the background, chocolate orange.
I could see a twinge of like a brown sugar sneaking in here as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit of light toasted notes as well. A little bit of smoke from the barrels come through just barely.
Slight twinge from the barrel. But there's no peat in here, so it has to be what it is.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get into what I like to think of mid-aged bourbon. Young bourbon is that stuff. Around the 4-year mark is like a good quality young bourbon. You can get decent stuff. Anything less than 4, I just don't know why they do it unless it's in Texas or something.
Because of the climate, right?
Yeah. 7, 8 years old, now you're starting to get into where bourbon's really starting to take on. The Rickhouse character is starting to really come through. The barrel's starting to play its role. You're starting to be able to really judge if they're using quality, oak. You start really getting a better idea of the char level, things like that start playing a role. I don't know what the char level they use here. I'm guessing probably not the lightest, not the heaviest, somewhere in between.
The char note was something I wanted to bring up earlier, but now that you mentioned it, it segues nicely. I agree. There's a little bit of a toasting or a little bit of an extra char note to this. Initially, we said earlier a little bit of a wisp of smoke from the barrel. Mm-hmm. I think that has... I think it being slightly overly charred is something that's adding to that exact experience.
Water didn't hurt anything. It did bring down the chocolate. It brought out sort of the underlying that honey cracker sweetness thing I keep going back and forth on, trying to get a better description. I mean, it's almost starting to kind of give me like a kind of a butterscotch note. Obviously, it's bourbon. It's got some vanillas coming through, but there's something here that's a little different that I'm not sure I'm articulating perfectly.
It almost comes off slightly. Imagine the s'mores without the marshmallow, with just a little bit of vanilla extract, and the chocolate's a poor chocolate, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
That chalky chocolate.
Okay, yeah.
So it kind of takes away the ginger of the actual cracker on a s'mores, and again, there's no marshmallow here whatsoever.
I guess you could argue there's a hint of vanilla, which is marshmallow, but yeah.
Vanilla extract on the top, because we couldn't find marshmallows in the grocery store. They were sold out.
That is the expensive way to make a s'more.
Yes.
Vanilla extract is not cheaper than s'mores.
We do what we can.
Marshmallows.
Little truffle oil.
Ooh. Now, if any of you have had the New Riff winter whiskey, which uses the stout mash bill that actually has chocolate malt and stuff, just for a contrast here, that is much more dark chocolate. This is much more of like a rich, very dessert-like milk chocolate, but deep, dark one, not a
Superficial one.
yeah. It's definitely not it's not coming off as like really high end chocolate or anything here. It's just
A cheap chocolate.
yeah. It's interesting. It's nice. It's chocolatey. Definitely a lot of chocolate, but this is not gourmet.
Where are you as far as a whiskey score on this one, Dustin?
I'm going to go with a pretty healthy score here for these guys. I really like what they've done, Mike. Mm-hmm. I kind of like to, spend a little more time with it, but we wanted to get this review out sooner than later. So I'm going to give it an 87, but it's an adjustable 87. It might really be an 86, but I'm going to go on the high side.
Yeah, Dustin, I was an 85 or an 86. I'm going to go with the 86. I really do appreciate the nose. There's nothing to really dislike about this nose. You can say you want more, but you can't say anything here is out of place or unwanted. I'm going to say 86, which is basically saying the same thing you are at 87. Adjusting for your new Riff
Bias,
allegiance, also.
Allegiance.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good look. This is a good, solid whiskey. If you're a bourbon fan, you're not going to be disappointed with this whiskey. This is a solid whiskey.
Yeah,
and a solid whiskey at the price. Good ABV. It smells nice. There's nothing wrong with this. Early in our whiskey journey, we probably would have been more excited. Just a little.
Oh yeah,
just a little straightforward and simple.
So $70 out the door with tax.
It's worth it.
I think that's a great price. I think they really nailed that. Don't get me wrong. Like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is like $85 now. That's a better buy. But that's hard to get. This is going to be pretty easy to get, I'm guessing. So definitely a cool.
It's a twinge of mint right here at the end.
I mean, it's 30% rye.
Yeah, it's a twinge of mint here at the end. Not tobacco or anything, but just like a sharp candied mint, like a Mentos mint.
I should have said earlier, before water, there was a hint of tobacco on here on the nose. Just a hint.
We're down now. We're jumping around. Anyway, those are our particular thoughts on this particular new Riff. Obviously, Dustin and I brought many of these to you. We're big fans of this distillery and kind of been a big supporter of them ever since they came into being. So if you guys have a chance to try this one, we'd like to know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy rifting.
100 drinking. I thought you were going to say that. I thought that was too easy of a setup for you not to get.